My confusions with the UFC fighters is on the rise, and I don't know how to deal with these questions that pop up in my head all the time. One of those questions which requires immediate attention to pacify my mind-boggling confusions and give me some peace of mind is that what is the identity of Bilal, remember the name Muhammad? I mean, I saw him walking to the arena the other night, and it said born Chicago, Illinois, and he was carrying Palestinian flag. And then when he was introduced, I didn't understand because it was so noisy that where was he from. And my own understanding is that he's American, and he likes to be called Palestinian. That's how I understand the whole situation. I mean, I made a video the other day on Douglas Murray and Joe Rogan Experience controversy, and I made a comment in that video that it is very hard for Muslims of Middle East, Pakistan, India, and other parts of the world to come to West, generally speaking, and coming to the United States in particular, and finding it very difficult to assimilate with the Western values. Though these are the values for which they actually migrate or immigrate to Western countries, apart from the financial reasons. I think financial reasons are the number one reason for all the people from Muslim countries to immigrate to Western countries. Because the rich Western countries like Saudi Arabia or UAE, they don't give enough opportunity to Muslims from other parts of the world to go over there and work. People who know Middle Eastern countries and Arabian Peninsula, they understand what I'm talking about and why it is very hard to marry a Middle Eastern or an Arabian woman, to buy a property over there, even to find a job over there. But it's so easy to find all these three things over here in the West, particularly in the United States. You can buy a car, you can buy a house, you can have a wife, you can have a property, you can have a business of your own, and you don't need anybody to be your mentor or supervisor or somebody, a local person who is going to be your in charge in the real sense. Anyway, I go back to Bilal Muhammad, and I'm still confused about it. Like, if he's born in America, if was born in America, and if he's an American-born fighter, then why is he not introducing himself as an American fighter? I mean, when Jones introduced himself after winning against Stipe Miocic last time, and he said he was the only Christian American fighter, and people booed. Some people didn't like him, like the comment. I mean, people like him as a fighter, but people don't like to be called Christians over here in the United States. I mean, America is one country where it is so respectful about the other religions. They like to embrace all the other religions except for Christianity, and that is the case which I had to explain on one of the podcasts I was invited to. And I told Brian Hernandez, my friend, in his podcast, that the reason why Pakistani Muslims hate Indians is the same. I'm not going there. I'm trying to stick to the main topic, Bilal Muhammad and his identity. I mean, if he's carrying Palestinian flag, and he could have that piece of fabric which he calls flag, and on one side it could be United States, on the other side it could be Palestine, but because he represents the two countries, and I think United States has offered him more than what Palestine has. Palestine may have offered him his genetic and historic identity, and no disrespect to Bilal's love for Palestine, and I respect all the Palestinians, and I really don't like what is happening to them. Um, I mean, apart from the role that Hamas is playing, I have a different stance on this very subject, that people should not be killed in the name of religion and ideologies, and religious fanatic parties or groups should not be taking advantage of people of the same religion by using religion against them and not leaving any other options for them. So going back to Bilal's case, I am still confused about it, like why it is so hard for Bilal to declare himself as an American. Why is he so focused on Palestinian? And I remember somebody asked a question a long time ago to Dana White about Bilal coming with a Palestinian flag, and Dana stopped him there in tracks, the reporter. He stopped the reporter right away, and he told the reporter that he didn't want to answer these kind of stupid questions, and he told him like what he was trying to achieve, the reporter. And I understand it, because it could have been a discriminatory remark. And I'm not someone who's trying to create some kind of discrimination against Bilal Muhammad, but I mean, this is a kind of situation for a person like me, who is also an immigrant and who has come from a country where 99% people are Muslims. And I have seen these kind of situations over there. And when you are a Christian or a Hindu or a Baha'i or an Ahmadi or a Sikh, and you're living in a Muslim country, it is so hard for you to cheer for a Christian country, or to cheer for India for Hindus, or for all the other minorities, if they want to celebrate or cheer for another country because they feel some kind of commonality and similarity in their ideas and their identity. And if I, for example, hypothetically, if I am cheering for England in a cricket game in Pakistan, and I'm carrying an English flag, people would call me that somebody who is not only an infidel is a common word for Christians. They would not only call me an infidel, they would tell me that I'm not Pakistani and I'm not loyal to my country, and they're going to shame me, and it is very likely that I could be mob lynched over there. So apart from, like if you compare me with Bilal Muhammad, I am the son of the land in case of Pakistan. My forefathers were from India, maybe for 25, 30, 50 generations. I'm not somebody who has moved from Turkey or Afghanistan or Saudi or Central Asian states to India and become a Pakistani. I'm a Pakistani because when in 1947, when India was divided, my parents or my grandparents happened to be on this side of the line. So that's the same confusion that I had when people used to celebrate the famous legendary boxer Muhammad Ali. Like if I see back in Pakistan, for example, a Muslim cricketer, if he changes his religion and he becomes a Christian, he would not only be kicked out of the team, he would be killed. On the other hand, here, Muhammad Ali was not only celebrated, he's considered a legend of boxing, and people love him more, which is the right thing to do. And yet, no disrespect to all those Muslim fighters and all those people who changed their religion or who came here with a different ideology and were born here and they are still sticking to their own faith and religion. I respect and admire them. That's the kind of consistency Christians of the United States should be learning, because they are so far away from their originality and Christianity that they cannot even think about it, that what it is. But my point is that if he is born, Bilal Muhammad, if he is born in the United States and he's raised in the United States, and United States has given him everything, even the United States has given him the opportunity to participate in all those events, to become the world champion. why it is so hard for him to carry an American flag. Or maybe he can have a piece of fabric. On one side, it could be a US flag. On the other hand, on the other side, it could be a Palestinian flag. And I've seen Brazilian fighters doing it, and I've seen fighters from the other parts of the world doing it. Why it is so hard for Muslims to do it? And that's what I say, and that's what I stick to, is that it is very hard for them to admit to the very fact that they are Americans or British or Norwegian or Finnish or Swede. They cannot be that. They just want them to be identified as Muslims. And that's the tribal ideology. And that's that Muslim philosophy that I was talking about in my last video. And some people didn't like it. And somebody commented on that video and said, like, I'm trying to disseminate the hatred. I'm not trying to disseminate the hatred. I'm trying to create an atmosphere where everybody should be called American when you are in America. Why it is so hard? Why? Being a Christian in Pakistan, I have to introduce myself as Pakistani first and Christian later. But being a Muslim in America, you have to introduce yourself as Muslim first and American later, or maybe never. And I gave this example in one of my videos long time ago, that I work with schools sometimes here in the United States. And I was sitting in one of the parents-teachers meeting. And parents were called to school because the teachers wanted to complain about one of their children studying in the school, and the child was like reluctant to say the word, the pledges for the flag of the United States. And he kept quiet when everybody is saying those words. And when he was asked like why he's not saying those pledges, he said, my mother stopped me from doing that. And mother was like in very, very difficult situation when she had to answer that question. So going back to Bilal Muhammad, I think he's a great fighter. He has achieved tremendously and his accolades are huge. And I wish him all the best. And I see that he could come back and win his belt again sometime, which I don't see happening in near future. But my point of view here is that I am still confused about his identity. If he's American, if he's a Palestinian, or he's a Muslim. What is it? The first thing. And why it is so difficult for a Palestinian Muslim to identify and introduce himself as an American. I'm leaving that question for all of you. Thank you very much.